As I sat in my new OT, it was a very emotional moment for me. Who could have thought that I would be able to purchase such an expensive luxury sports car? When I was going to the party where all the rich kids were invited, flashbacks started to appear in my mind. The distance was still 20 minutes away and I was driving forward. I felt more like my mind was driving in the past. I still remembered those nights when I had to sleep on the streets and had to eat food from welfare foundations. It all started when my father left us and my mom also lost her job. While I was in college and my younger brother was still in school, to make our ends meet, I had to do odd jobs, so I started off as a janitor to nearby McDonald's and soon got an opportunity as a helper in my college library. It was the lowest point of my life. I had to do another part-time job just to keep our family expenses afloat, so started as a sales job. In the day, I was spending 8 hours in a library. Though it was pretty relaxing work, it also gave me the opportunity to study all the top business gurus, and I started investing my time constructively, learning ins and outs of top-tier companies. A whole another world had just opened its door to me. At night, as I was doing sales, it was very much laborious, but the knowledge that I was learning in the library, I started applying at my second job, and the fruits were remarkable. At the same time, while I was attending my college half days a week, I was also studying pretty hard to get good grades. There was this one cute girl that I was very much in love with. She was a brilliant student and an attractive one as well. We became friends while we used to have group study in the library. Since I used to spend most of my time in the library, I was very helpful in getting resources for assignments. We started to meet on a regular and almost daily basis. We started to spend an hour or two studying together. It was really good to have someone to talk to after going through hard days of work, and gradually I started to fall in love with her. She, on the other hand, was a social butterfly and loved to hang out at parties. She was also very much active in debating societies. I really wanted to have a proper relationship with her, but she did not give it much thought and politely denied. Then she said something that really broke my heart and I was devastated. Her exact words were, "You cannot afford me at the moment. I have such a high class of standards and you are in a struggling phase. And why burden your life with love?" This was something that I was not expecting since we had become such good friends and I was hoping that we might start our new journey together. But she had plans to achieve some high-class standards and wanted some rich boy to date. I was in no position to bargain, so I kept quiet, but it pierced my heart and I was numb for many days. As time heals everything and life moves on, I started to focus on my work and poured my heart into studying business and working part-time jobs so that I could support my family and properly start my own business. I was in so much pain, but eventually it paid off in a big way. I used to miss her a lot after our college ended. I wanted to spend more time with her, but her plans were to travel the whole country and have fun. But that was the cost that I was not willing to give, so I kept on working on my craft and started to focus on ultimately opening my own venture. Just after a couple of months, we lost in touch, and I was busy full-time with opening my own franchise. After a year, a friend told me that she got married to her cousin and now has a baby. Although I was happy for her, her memories were still fresh in my mind. But now I was also living a good life myself as I had established a successful sales business. I bought my own home and 2 really cool sports cars. In the meantime, I also started dating some of the really intelligent top models. Life was kind to me once again. While I was thinking all this, my friend called me and asked me to pick him up as I will be just 5 minutes away from the venue. So I dropped by his apartment and together we went to the party. It was the birthday of our mutual friend who also used to run a successful marketing agency and talent agency, and we had already had a good time in the past building this successful venture. Today we bought his favorite watch as a gift. As we entered this mansion, There were so many sports cars already parked there. But one thing was unique. I had wrapped my Audi in two-tone purple red, and it was visible from afar, so it was an eye candy among all the cars, and everybody was looking at my beautiful machine with admiring looks. This made me realize how far I have come in life, how much I am grateful for these privileges. We wished our buddy a very happy birthday, and while he was opening his presents, we were having a blast. I suddenly bumped into one of their organizers as she was picking up a tray. I immediately apologized, but somehow I stopped at that moment. It was a familiar face, but it was hard to recognize where I had seen her. She suddenly called my name. "Alex, how are you?" And suddenly her voice was something that brought back the memories. She was the one whom I proposed for the first time in life, and by chance was thinking about her on my way here after such a long time. After so many years, I was pleasantly surprised by this coincidence. She inquired how my life had been and what I was doing there. I told her that it was the birthday of my very close wedding anniversary, and we also had a mutual sports car club. She was more shocked hearing all this, and asked me what I am doing nowadays professionally. I told her that all those 8 years of struggle, how I started from nothing, and now I had multiple businesses ranging from agencies to venture capital investments. She seemed more impressed than I anticipated. She told me that she was here with her friend as organizer and to take care of the event, and told me that she had a baby now and had married her cousin after the graduation. She complimented me on my physique, as I had worked pretty hard in sculpting my physical features. On the other hand, she had gone fat and was pretty much out of shape. Once she was a top model of our college, but now she was totally unrecognizable. I asked her if she had time, how about we catch up after the party? Since I had to give my time to my friend, we were going out for a drive in sports car and were having a little bet on who would win the race. She musingly agreed and asked if she could join for a ride. I gladly agreed, and while we were walking towards a garage, I asked her to guess which car would be mine. She kinda laughingly pointed out to nearby standing BMW. Then I asked which car would be her most favorite to ride. She immediately pointed out a two-toned red Audi and said she always fascinated such a beautiful looking piece of luxury, and upon seeing my face and grin in my eyes, she immediately understood that it was basically mine. I saw her cheeks blushing. I opened the door for her, and as she sat inside, she was awed by its premium quality, and as we exited the front door of the house, I throttled the car forward and she grasped out of surprise. I laughingly asked if she had ever sat in a fast car like this before. She closed her eyes due to fast speed and said no, she had not. She was laughing out of thrill and was so afraid at the same time. After hanging out on a track and having a good time there racing each other, we came back to his home and were almost all a bit tired. She was getting the staff and was making sure that everything was intact, and as the party was finishing, I asked her if she would join me for a late-night dinner. I would like to show her around town and my home. At first, she was reluctant in accepting my offer, but as I told her that I have something in store for her, she immediately agreed. After treating her with my favorite soap at the best restaurant in the town, I took her to my home. She was blown away after looking at the size of the gate. Her eyes were wide open and she could not believe that a simple guy who was doing 2 jobs in college could own this piece of expensive property, and she asked me if I really owned this. I just smiled and smirked at her, which was an answer in itself. And I took her inside. She was amazed to see the collection of art pieces that I had, and I was showing her around my house. She pointed out and said it is the most beautiful fireplace you ever have in your living room. Suddenly she asked what was the surprise that I wanted to show her. Actually, in her mind, she had thoughts that I might be interested in having a relationship again with her, and I wanted to discuss such stuff. But this was something that was far away from my mind, and I basically pointed out to my box of memories. As I opened that box, I showed her our pictures together in the library, and how I had kept them all with me in those years as a precious memory, and I have not forgotten anything that she had given me. I had everything from flowers to books, all saved up as my most precious memories. Upon watching this all, she got a bit emotional and wanted to hug me, but I backed off a little and said, I think it's pretty late now for that, as you're already committed to someone else. But it was good that I met you again. She started off by telling me her story as how hard her life had become. Now she had to do multiple jobs in order to sustain and pay for her mortgage and to take care of the baby. At the same time, her husband was not doing much of anything and only does a part-time job and basically is a fat, lazy person. Due to such a situation, she had also gained so much weight and was having a hard time losing it all. Her looks have also changed now. Life had not been kind to her. Instead, she was having a good time and partying and making friends. It was all momentary. As she got married and started practical life, experience was very different, and she had never experienced the harsh realities that were waiting for her. She asked me if I could help her finding a better job since she is not satisfied with the one she is doing. I agreed and called one of my friends of a talent agency. I requested her for an audition and requested her to give my friend a good consideration. After some time having tea, I dropped her off at her home, which was basically a small apartment, and I was kind of sad to see her living in such a condition. The next day when Jessica came and was giving her audition, she was so out of proportion and was way too overweight to be a model. Despite being in the favor and even with a very relaxed test, she could not take her as a model to represent the agency, so she politely declined and apologized to her. Upon hearing this, Jessica was very much sad. This was something that I had never intended in my mind. It also struck me painfully. Now that she was not in a good condition, I had no intention to make her feel any worse. As she got rejected due to her weight, I immediately said, forget it. How about I give you a better opportunity, as one of my other friends is having a nightmare with her manager. As she's unavailable most of the time and also is a very egoistic person, why don't I request him? You could join his company as his personal assistant and he will be happy to have you, since you're a very hardworking person yourself. Upon hearing this all, she got relaxed. Immediately, I called my friend and told him about the situation. He said he was looking for a personal assistant to hire. Better to send her right away, and after an interview, she was selected, and to her surprise, her salary package was doubled now. After a few days, she came to my home and thanked me for all my efforts, that now her expenses were being taken care of, but she basically wanted now to join my company and to work near me and around me and maybe to start where we left off. To this, I apologized, as I was dating two finest models at the same time and I did not want the burden of children and was enjoying my freedom. I did not want it to push it any further, so I reminded her exact words. You cannot afford me at that moment. I have such a high class of standards and you're in a struggling phase, and why burden your life with love? This made her realize how painful those moments were to me when she said these words, as I was so sincere to her yet was taken for granted. Well, we live by choices we make and decisions we take and consequences we live by. I'll be always there for you, but now from afar.